Welcome to That's Good Sports. I am Brandon. I know it was only a preseason game, but getting embarrassed by Paxton Lynch feels worse than if I were to find out tomorrow that my wife is actually a man and a communist and secretly prefers Last Man Standing to Home Improvement. Perna. By the way, why haven't I been invited on Last Man Standing? The show takes place in Denver, Colorado, and Tim Allen is a Broncos fan, yet they have never mentioned this show? If you're a showrunner there or a producer and you can give me a spot, that would be pretty sweet. Now, the Broncos may have lost last Thursday to the Seahawks, but Drew Lock looked better until he didn't, but then until he did again. There's a ton of Broncos news to cover today, so I will stop wasting your time with all of the syllables and the meaningless words that continue to come out of my mouth, including the exact words I am saying in this very moment. They too are wasting your stupid time. That's good. Please, noobs, subscribe to this YouTube channel if you want continued football coverage. The 8-bit helmet shirts are it. The link is in the description. If you want to order yours, I have the whole AFC West up. That's Chiefs, that's Chargers, that's even Raiders, and I'll have more shirts coming this week. You voted on them, and they are coming. Jimmy Garoppolo is set to get his first live-action, real-time, full-go game rep since blowing out his knee last year. It's interesting that he will return to the field for the first time against the Denver Broncos, as Garoppolo spent about 15 hours every week during October, November, and December studying game film with Mike Shanahan. And that is not a typo. I said Mike Shanahan was tutoring Jimmy G last season while the QB was immobilized, making him the only quarterback Shanahan has worked with who couldn't run the naked boot. Now, many football experts say that extra study time was so Jimmy G could continue to learn the Shanahan offense while he was recovering from his injury. But we Broncos fans know Shanahan was solely preparing Garoppolo for this preseason game against the Broncos, a devious plan by Mike so he could embarrass the team that passed on his son for Vance fucking Joseph. Well, the joke's on you, Shanahan, because the 2-10 49ers already beat the Broncos with Nick Mullins as their QB. Way to waste all of your time on a game that won't even matter now, Mike. To ensure the Broncos win this preseason matchup, John Elway went out and hired former 49ers quarterback coach Rick Scangarello, now the Broncos OC, who knows all about the 49ers offense. So he can relay some secrets to the Broncos defense, such as you need to fucking cover George Kittle this time. You know, the real insider stuff. As I mentioned, I thought Drew Lock showed improvement from his first game. I thought he had 2 solid drives and made some throws that made me go, oh shit, that's an NFL throw. What's an NFL throw? Basically the kinds of throws Dolphins fans haven't seen since Dan Marino retired. I could have easily said the same thing about Broncos fans and Peyton Manning retiring, but why would I shit where I eat, right? So far, Brian Baldinger is keeping a close watch on Drew Lock with his bald dinger, let's sit on a finger and talk QB all 22 or whatever the hell his show's called.
Seattle blitzed the hell out of him. I mean, this ball was blistering in there. Look at this location. Look at that. I mean, you go to State Fair and win a lot of big teddy bears with throws like that. In the pocket, look at this throw. Doink. He had a lot of drops too.
From now on, I am stealing all of my football takes from Brian Baldinger, by the way. If he thinks Drew Lock is good, then goddammit, he is good. There's so much negativity in sports these days that it feels nice for someone to focus on my quarterback's good plays and completely ignore the bad ones.
I'm just keeping it positive right here. These throws are perfect. Now they're dropping them. This Drew Lock now, he's got talent.
The truth of the matter is that Drew Lock looked much improved from the week before. That's the truth of the matter, which is all you can ask of a rookie. Besides, I don't know, carrying pads and not being mentored by Joe Flacco. Flacco looks fine, by the way. Drew Lock's most impressive attribute is throwing the football so accurately to a tight end that the tight end has no choice but to catch the ball. His anticipation throw to Troy Fumagalli was a thing of beauty. Unfortunately, Locke also kept up the tradition of injuring a rookie tight end and forcing them to miss their entire rookie season with this throw to Austin Fort. This makes Fort, along with Jeff Hireman, Troy Fumagalli, and Jake Butt, all rookie tight ends the Broncos brought in who missed their rookie season due to an injury. Eventually, they're going to stop coming to the Broncos, and they'll have to play without tight ends, just like pitchers with the Rockies. Theo Riddick fractured his shoulder in the preseason game and will be out 6 to 8 weeks. All I can say at this point is it's really hard to imagine the Broncos starting the season without Theo Riddick. That sucks, because last week I literally couldn't imagine it without Theo catching passes out of the backfield, and now I have to go back to 2 weeks ago when I never even knew Theo Riddick would be a Bronco, and I couldn't imagine him as one. It's not funny how the NFL messes with your head like that. Riddick was injured after 1 carry, just like Austin Fort was injured after 1 pass. If the Broncos have a weakness, I would say it's weakness. And just when we thought Devontae Booker was gone, they pull him back in. The Broncos have been damned to an eternity of 3 yards per carry. I'm rooting for Devontae Booker despite the fact that he hasn't quite lived up to expectations since being drafted. He's the only running back to endure the 3 different coaching regimes here in Denver. He's like a jellyfish, surviving apocalyptic events for more than 550 million years on Earth, only so everyone can fear the shark in the ocean instead of them. And just like Booker in the running back rotation, you forget he's even there, nearly invisible. Then boom, he hurdles his way into the end zone and everyone is trying to piss on their arms to reduce the sting of excitement. Why don't we remember that play? Well, because it was called back by a penalty. And such is the Devontae Booker story. Andy Janovich getting hurt is a reminder that all of us are truly mortal. If a specimen like Jano can tear a pectoral muscle, then what's to keep my spine from collapsing like a game of Jenga? This man is the picture of health. He found the old picture of health and kicked its fucking teeth in. And now he's gone for up to 2 months. 22 Janos, we don't even have 1 Jano right now. It's hard to fathom, but the Broncos are going with George Aston, heir to the Aston Martin fortune. Thank God General Motors stopped giving away cars to Super Bowl MVPs, because if fullback George Aston ever won Super Bowl MVP, that would have been really awkward for his family to see him in an Escalade. Son, get rid of that Escalade. But Papa, it has so much more legroom. I said get rid of it, damn it, or you'll spend the entire summer in Cape Cod, that cesspool, instead of Martha's Vineyard with the rest of the family again. Oh no, Papa, anything but that. Anything but that, Papa, Aston Martin. Crazy how that guy is tough enough to play fullback. The Broncos waived second-year linebacker Jeff Holland and signed cornerback Rashard Causey to take his spot on the roster. The reason for this was so the Broncos could get a look at Rashard Causey next to their other corner, Devontae Bosby. This move finally gives Vic Fangio the personnel to run the scheme he's really been wanting to deploy in the secondary. A rhyming scheme. Holland was basically made expendable by Malik Reed, who's playing very well. The undrafted rookie outside linebacker has 2 sacks in 2 games and looks like the real deal. This is not a problem, though, for Holland. He just needs to rebrand to Jeff Netherlands and sneak onto another roster. He probably should have been a fit in Denver, the only U.S. city where mushrooms are legal like they are in Amsterdam. Unfortunately, like a wild mushroom, he was promptly picked up by a curious Vance Joseph and the Arizona Cardinals, where he'll probably go to never be heard from ever again. The Broncos are also moving safety Jamal Carter to inside linebacker to add depth at that position. Carter, in what little we have seen from him, has always looked more like a linebacker than a safety, really. My guess here is that Fangio hasn't seen enough from the guys playing behind the injured Todd Davis and Josie Jewell and rookie Justin Hollins and AJ Johnson. As much as linebackers have to cover, it makes sense to convert big safeties to the position when you have to. And finally, Cravens tweeted about the Washington Redskins, and it looks like the series of tweets were written by Donald Trump. Mishandled injuries and withheld info. All evidence points to them being guilty. Total witch hunt. Crooked Dan Snyder, lock him up. To say things are probably pretty bad in Washington is an understatement. Cravens basically stated in his tweets, that also have several examples of periods being spaced after the final word of what Cravens considers to be the end of a sentence, that Washington said he was making up his injury and cut off his pay and his medical insurance when he was there. He alluded that that's why tackle Trent Williams refuses to show up or play another snap for the team, because they are a garbage organization. Cravens missed all of 2017 after suffering a concussion late in 2016. That's why Alex Smith is actually lucky that we have video evidence of his legs snapping in the wrong direction. Otherwise, Dan Snyder would probably try and say Smith was faking like he did with Cravens. Cravens had another respectable outing in the second preseason game, finishing as the leading tackler for the Broncos. Couple that with this crazy fucking picture of Cravens, and I would say things are on the rise for Mr. Cravens. Thanks for watching another episode of That's Good Broncos. Please subscribe here on YouTube. You gotta subscribe. I cover all the NFL, not just the Broncos. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, at Brandon Perna. And if you want to follow my writing partner, at WillKey6 on Twitter, please do. So if you don't follow him, he might leave me. And that would be bad for you. Trust me.